brings us to our action amendments. 6A will be an action item. Mr. Dickinson, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the Transportation Policy Council. I'm Jim Dickinson with the Short Range Planning Group here at H-GAC. I'm presenting items 6A, B, and C. If I can, there it is. We begin with item 6A, which includes one amendment to the Transportation Improvement Program, for which the Technical Advisory Committee has recommended your approval this month. And this is amendment number 42, which commits approximately $1 million of Surface Transportation Program Metropolitan Mobility Funds to 5 Livable Centers Initiative studies. This activity is listed in the Unified Planning Work Program and will utilize statewide project grouping in the TIP and in the STIP to expedite and simplify federal review and approval. The 5 studies were selected through the competitive 2015 Livable Centers Call for Planning Studies that began last summer. Each of the selected study partners has worked with H-GAC and committed the required local funding match. An interlocal agreement will be executed between H-GAC and the partners prior to commencement of the studies, and refinements may be made to the study scopes at that time. For example, the limits of the International Management District study may be confined to the City of Houston. We anticipate that one or more of these studies will begin this current fiscal year. Are there any questions about Amendment 42?
Do you have any questions for Mr. Dickinson? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So made, Mr. Chairman.
Got a motion and a second to approve amendment number 42. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Chairman.
Oh, yes, sir.
I'm a member of the TAC, and there was some question about using these funds for planning or versus using another fund.
The Chairman, if I may, I might jump in. I will say that the use of surface transportation mobility funds for planning is an eligible activity. We don't do it very often, but you did reserve a small portion of this program, less than 1%, for that possibility. This was approved by the Policy Council in its last call for projects, so it did complete as part of that funding. As I said, I think the question was really about its use here versus in other funds that we receive for planning purposes. But we have provided SDP, MM funding for this activity in the past as well.
All right. Any further questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Mr. Dickinson, 6B.
Item 6B is administrative modifications for your information this month. We begin with Amendment 44, which assigns a statewide control section job number to H-GAC's Urban Core Freight Relief Route Study. Similar to the action of Amendment 42, the grouping of this project in the TIP and in the STIP expedites federal review and approval and will allow the immediate commencement of project activities. Next, we have Amendment 45, which delays 19 projects 1 or 2 years based on the feedback that was received from the project sponsors in the first quarter TIP project status report. This includes $70 million worth of projects that will not begin in fiscal year 2016. We are in discussions with a few sponsors regarding projects that might be able to be advanced into fiscal year 2016, but given the TxDOT timelines for design review, this requires projects that have 100% plans. As a reminder, In a continuing effort to assess TIP project readiness, we will be mailing out the second quarter TIP's status report request on Tuesday, March 1st.
Okay.
Are there any questions about Amendment 44 or 45?
So what happens with the money? Does it stay in these the projects, or does it get reallocated?
The money has been fully allocated. In fact, I know that Mr. Wardlow has done some recent analysis of the funding category totals and allocations. You might want to have just a word regarding that fresh data that we have.
I think direct answer to your question, Commissioner, is that yes, the money stays with these projects. They remain committed. They just move in time.
Thank you.
Yep.
David, before you leave, I'm assuming that someone on H-GAC staff will be checking with folks who are asking for delay, and there's no comment outside the column. Because we have got caught in a bind where we had to swap money with Dallas because people didn't follow through on what they asked for.
That is a concern. We are in discussions with the department about that right now.
The department.
The TxDOT, the Houston.
Most of these I'm concerned about are not TxDOT projects. It's the Waller.
Correct.
The city of Waller have $319,000 to finish their project or not, as an example. So I'm assuming somebody is
Yes.
followed up. I guess the same thing Ken said.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
I think the main thing here is we're staying in touch with the sponsors. One, to keep pressure on them to keep their projects going, but also if they're going to slide, we need to know about it.
Correct.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, if I could add, this is an example of an adage you hear from us and from TxDOT and others. If you have a project in our new 10-year plan, don't assume you won't have a funding opportunity till year 9 or year 8, even if you're in year 10. Projects that can be developed and ready for a funding commitment often have an opportunity in each year as other projects are delayed. So please take advantage of that. Your project will cost less. You'll get the benefits sooner. And TxDOT is eager to work with all of our project sponsors that have been selected to help them get started down that road.
Okay. Thank you, Alan. All right. 6C.
Mr. Chairman, we have no items to preview with you this month at this time.
I won't even ask for questions on that. All right. That gets us to 6D.
Thank
Mr.
you very
Nicholas
much.
Williams. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members, this morning we are requesting your recommendations of amendments to the 2016-2017 Unified Planning Work Program. These are relatively simple amendments. Similar to last month, we've had 3 work product description modifications as a result of requests by the Federal Highway Administration. I'll stress these changes. These are wording changes to kind of clarify what's in the product. They don't change what these work products are, nor do they make any changes to the budgets. You've got the complete edits in your background materials. I'll just give you kind of a brief overview here. Edits to 3.2B1. This clarifies the goals and outcomes of a feasibility study of a potential rail corridor bypass in the US 98 corridor to possibly enable transit services. Changes to 3.4A8 add additional detail about H-GAC's traffic safety public outreach activities. And finally, 4.3A7 is changed to add specificity to the description of H-GAC's pedestrian bicyclist special district studies by adding in the Greenway Plaza study. These are the changes. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions. Once again, we're asking for your recommendation of amendments to our UPWP.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Do we have any questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Williams.